like at that moment of kind of a will to compromise. And a will to compromise on the sporting field symbolized a will to compromise diplomatically. Still, we don't, the US and Iran still have a huge range of issues that we disagree on, but I think that moment and this game helped open dialogue between two countries on opposite sides. 2011, cricket games, we tried to pick all different sports, so this really shows the wide range of the way sports can bring people together. Cricket, so popular in India and Pakistan, but also India and Pakistan are two countries with very severe political differences. But in 2011, this game allowed the leaders of the two countries to meet during this game. And I think just like the prior example, there are still severe differences between India and Pakistan, but these two countries can meet on the cricket match, and the two leaders can meet on the margins of these games every year. And I think that's still continuing even today. I'll be quick, so I won't use up too much time, but 2015, we have to talk about baseball in honor of Bojun. Baseball. Similarly, the US and Cuba, I think people know, the US and Cuba have had a very tense and fraught history. Our forms of government are different, and we had severed diplomatic ties with Cuba for a very long time, since the Bay of Pigs, where Russia was planning to invade, or there was a missile crisis between Cuba and the United States. But in 2015, President Barack Obama said that we would open embassies in each other's countries, and the first goodwill event after that announcement was the Dodgers players, this Dodger player, Yasiel Puig, who's from Cuba, and Chase Utley, who is an American player, visited Cuba. And that was the first Major League Baseball goodwill mission in 16 years to Cuba, and that connection has continued. Oh, sorry, I have 5 minutes, so I'll be quick. All right, I'm almost done. So Title IX has been mentioned many times already, but Title IX is this piece of law. It's a law in the US that really forms the basis of the legal right for women to play in sports. It's a federal civil rights law. It was enacted in 1972, and it prohibits sex-based discrimination in any school or any other education program that receives funding from the federal government. So that has really been the kind of the cornerstone of US progress in women in sports. Our current Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, says we use sports as a way of connecting to people. And in the most tense situations, this is a visit to Saudi Arabia, we still use sports diplomacy as a way of connecting two countries that might have very opposing political agendas, but that can agree on a sporting event. And this is applauding the good work of the organizers today. They have hosted many different symposia, gender equality in sports workshops, Taipei, Kaohsiung, Taoyuan. There was a softball game. The AIT team played the Taoyuan team I think it was kind of an unfair game because the Taoyuan team had professional baseball players. They hired 2 professional baseball players, and our team is really like people like me and Mark, so. But I think in the end they let it tie. They were like killing us, and then at the end they let it go to a tie, but to be like keep the spirit of goodwill. And Bo Jun and her team have done such a great job of getting US government and Taiwan government support for all their efforts. So if you'd like to follow us on social media, this is the AIT Facebook and Instagram. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's welcome the next panelist, Lisa Mursky.
Okay. Hello, everybody. First, I really want to thank Pochun and your whole team for welcoming me here in Taiwan. I think from the minute I arrived on the plane to the airport, I had just had a super welcome. So very big thank you to you and your team. And also, I'm very happy to be connected to baseball, because it seems like everybody in this room is part of a baseball community. So my father was actually a semi-professional baseball player. He played AAA baseball for the Montreal Royals, and he played with Jackie Robinson. He played under Tommy Lasorda. So a really rich baseball history in my family. And I definitely inherited the love of sports from my father. I grew up playing softball, actually, which is what girls in Canada did rather than play baseball. But I also played every sport in my community. You know, we had a public pool, we had a public ice rink. So any chance I had as a kid, I would play sports. And then coming into high school, I definitely took advantage of everything on offer in my high school, and I continued to play sports. In my senior year, I actually played 5 sports, and was MVP of all 5, so that was pretty exciting. So I went on to play college level, university level lacrosse. I then moved from Canada to Belgium with my family, and I continued playing. So I played volleyball in the Belgian league. I then decided I live in Europe, so I better start playing some football. So I started playing on a women's team. And to this day, I continue to play football on this women's team, and I'm also an avid golfer, a tennis player, anything on offer. So really just to say that I'm a big sport for lifer, with I think, you know, for many girls and women, that's a challenge, you know? So I'm very proud of that. And this is, you know, leads me to really my passion even in my work, and that's the idea that every girl should really have the opportunity to benefit and grow through sports. And I'm very lucky to work for an organization that has the same belief as myself. So this leads me to my work with the Nandi Foundation and our Sports for Life program. And it's a grassroots sports excellence for women and girls program. So before diving into sports, I think it's really important to explain a bit about the foundation. So it was established in 1998, and its mission is to work to make poverty history. So these are the 3 main verticals of the foundation. So one of them is working with farmers, so small holding farmers in India. India is still very much a rural country, and the farmers, unfortunately, many and most of them still are very poor, so they're growing, you know, the food that everyone eats in the country, however, they're quite poor. So we work to try and make sure that the farmers make a profit from the crops that we're growing. So we work with tens of thousands of farmers throughout the country. We work in youth skilling division, so men and women that graduate from basic schooling, and they are looking to find job, to find employment, and we help to skill them in all the kind of practical areas that they need in order to find employment. And then our third portfolio division is education for girls. So this program was the founding of Nandi Foundation, so started back in 1998. And we are endeavoring to help girls graduate from basic schooling. So girls 6 through 15 years old, we organize after-school tuition programs for these girls to help them graduate. So over the last few decades, we've helped over 500,000 girls graduate from basic schooling. And I think at the bottom, it's really important, I wanted to include this because this is a really big belief in our foundation, is that by listening to communities we serve and making them equal partners in solving their problems, Nandi has been able to make them realize their potential. So this is really the cornerstone of all of the work that we do in Nandi Foundation. So the start of Sports for Life. So as I'm happy to be part of an Education in Girls panel, it's very important to understand that our sports program began with the education project at Nandi Foundation. So it'd been running for 2 decades, and back in 2019, we decided to add a sports component to that program. And so since then, we've been building sports into our education program. So what I wanted to explain a little bit is how our program works. So we're all in this room kind of sports leaders, perhaps many of us are involved in sports coaching. And we think when we work with teams, you know, what's really important to us, okay? One is our sports technical expertise, okay? Being able to coach kids and understanding the sports. But the second one is understanding your team, right? Understanding the kids that you coach, understanding, you know, where they come from, their needs, their individual needs. I think the best coaches in the world now know their athletes inside out and how they can push them and help them to grow. So we at Nandi, we started with that. We said, let's put the priority on people who know the girls in our program. Let's start with them. So we started with what we call our women's sports allies. So these are the women that come from the exact same community that our girls come from. They know the daily lives of these girls. They know their families, they know their communities, they know all of the incredible challenges that these girls face every day. So we said, let's start with them in our sports program, and let's help train them in sports so that they can drive and lead our program. And just a quick story about these sports allies, these women. So the first time back in 2019, I did an event with our program. We were just going to test it out. You know, we thought, let's try sports with our girls. Let's see how it goes. So we're on the field, and we've marked the lines. We're going to do some very simple races, fun athletics with the girls. And I really thought that there was kind of 2 important parts of my job. I thought one of them was to bring the sports knowledge to our community. But I also thought the second one was really to explain the benefits of sports, that sports is much more than just kicking a ball or running a race. I thought, okay, I'm going to have to also slowly explain this to our community. So we're running our races, and some of these women come up to me and they say, you know, Lisa, this is so great that we're doing this. And I was, wow, it's really nice to hear. And she's like, because sports teaches girls so much more than just the sport itself. It teaches them about confidence, about self-esteem, you know, about strength, about having a strong body. And I thought, whoa, like, you know, they're telling me, you know, why sports is important. They get it, you know, and they never had the opportunity to grow through sports, but they want to make sure that this generation of girls does. So this was an incredible, powerful aha moment for me to think, wow, we have all these women, they understand sports, and they want to do more. So this gives you a bit of an idea of our programs. So we have 180,000 girls involved in our education and sport program. It's led by 6,500 women, whom we call our sports allies. We're in 9 different states in India, and we are in over 4,600 schools. So for those who know a bit about India, it's incredibly diverse country, okay? So as we're spread throughout the country, you know, there's so much diversity in the girls that we work with. There's 9 different languages that's spoken in our community. Religions, so many different religions. We have Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, tribal, you know, all of these different religions. Food, everyone knows Indian food, the different types of food they eat. So it's just really so diverse. And what's amazing and what brings them all together is they all come from underprivileged backgrounds. And now, what also brings them together is sports. Okay, so we have programs going on as we speak in the state of Gujarat and up in Darjeeling. Darjeeling, they speak Nepalese. They look very different than the girls in Gujarat who speak Gujarati. And in 2 weeks, we're bringing them together for a football tournament. So really special to connect these girls through sport. Just to speak about our program, so we do a weekly multi-sport curriculum. So again, they meet for after-school academics, and one of the days out of the week is dedicated to sport. This is our opportunity to introduce fundamental sports movement to them, but also to talk about, you know, basically physical education, which to understand that in the schools that these girls go to, there's no sport, there's no physical health education. So we also use it as an opportunity to talk about nutrition. You know, we also use an opportunity to talk about their body changes, menstruation, you know, going from, you know, primary girls to secondary girls. This is part of our curriculum. We do an athletics program that starts at the village level, and it comes all the way up to a national level event. And then, of course, we have football. When I say of course, I shouldn't say of course, but we chose a team sport and an individual sport to focus on that didn't have many very difficult technical requirements, that didn't have many demands, high equipment demands. You can do it in small spaces, etc. So that's why we chose those sports. So I think it's enough about me talking a bit about our program, but I would really like to take all of your hand, and I'd like you to come to India for me for 4 minutes and to see our program. So if we can please play the first video of this presentation. So hopefully you're able to see from this video that all the events we do are all run by women, by our women from our program. So it's quite impressive to see. Sorry, it just says time's up, so I think I'm going to go a little bit faster here, because there's one more video that I would really like to play for everybody. And since we're talking about education and sport, I wanted to just mention what the benefits are, what we're seeing in our program, which are the benefits of being tied to an education program. So one of them, our systems were already in place, okay? The program was already in place when we added a sports component to it. Community trust, very, very important key to our program, that there was a lot of trust that was already built between these women who are running our program and the girls and their family. Varied funding opportunities, a big one. I know we're always, searching for funding with our programs, and to be honest, all of our funding, almost all, doesn't come from sports organizations. Okay, we get a lot of funding from organizations that are, interested in helping girls, underprivileged girls in education. And also SDG 5, organizations that really want to encourage gender equality in education and sports. And a reinforcement, I think, of importance. I think connecting sports to education, it really helps, when families and donors hear the word education, they really understand that this is very important for the girls. So even though I'm out of time, I really would like to play this very quickly for you. It's a video that shows what the women on the ground think of the connection between our education and sports program. So if we can just play that video.
नन्ही कली में मैंने कैरियर शुरू किया। जब मैंने ज्वाइन किया तब मैं पहले 4 महीने नन्ही कली के साथ काम कर चुकी हूँ एज अ सीए। तो तब मेरा एक मकसद था कि मैं नन्ही कली को सिर्फ अटेंडेंस के लिए, क्योंकि तब नया नया प्रोजेक्ट शुरू था हमारा, तो कभी कभी नन्ही कली सैटरडे को नहीं आती थी। तो सैटरडे को मैंने सोचा कि मुझे सैटरडे को मेरी नन्ही कली को लाना है मेरे एएससी पे। तो मैंने सोचा कि मुझे उनसे कुछ सैटरडे को ऐसा कराना चाहिए कि सारी नन्ही कली सैटरडे पे आए। इसलिए मैंने यहीं पे, यही ग्राउंड है कि मैंने यहाँ पे नन्ही कली के लिए थोड़ा खेल कूद ऐसा शुरू किया था, तो मेरी अटेंडेंस सैटरडे पे रहती थी। फिर विशाखा मैम से मेरी बात हुई थी कि मेरी नन्ही कली खेलना चाहती है और मैं हर सैटरडे को सिर्फ खिलाऊंगी मेरी नन्ही कली को, सैटरडे को मेरी पढ़ाई नहीं होगी। तो बोला कोई बात नहीं, तो आप खिलाना ही चाहती हो तो आप फुटबॉल खिलाओ, अगर ऐसा हो तो मैं आपकी हेल्प कर दूंगी। फिर यहाँ पे एक कोच आए हुए थे, स्कूल में थे, वो कोच थे, उनकी मैंने हेल्प ली थी। उन्होंने मुझे बुक्स दी थी कि आप फुटबॉल कैसे रूल्स होते हैं, थोड़े फंडामेंटल। तो हम लड़कियों को वो फंडामेंटल करते थे और वो मेरा सक्सेस गया था कि मेरी नन्ही कली वहाँ पे आ रही थी। फिर मैं कोऑर्डिनेटर बनी। तो कोऑर्डिनेटर में मेरा फील्ड पूरा आमोद है, तो मैं आमोद में सिर्फ मैं सीए को इंस्ट्रक्शन दे सकती थी कि ऐसा ऐसा हम करा सकते हैं। कि मैंने किया था कि मेरी नन्ही कली सैटरडे को नहीं आ रही थी, तो मैंने ऐसा करा है, अगर आप कर सकते हो तो करा लो। तो छुट्टी के दिन अगर संडे होता है तो मैं शाम के 4 बजे के बाद का टाइम निकाल सकती हूँ। तो फिर हमने यहाँ पे नवयुग पे ग्राउंड पे शुरू किया और मैं आमोद नहीं जाती थी, लेकिन यहाँ की नन्ही कलियों के लिए मैं टाइम निकाल के फिर उनके लिए जाती थी। तो उसमें मैं भी खेलती थी, उनकी मम्मियों को भी खिलवाती थी और नन्ही कलियों को भी खिलवाती थी।
So just to finish now, as you can see, we're getting stories from the women working on the ground about the benefit of the sports program to the education program at our foundation. And we're really at a point, in our journey where we need to share these stories more. In doing so, I've spoken to many of you already about this, the idea of data and research on education and sports really specific to our unique community. This is a real need right now, and I would love to speak to people who have the similar interest of building this type of research. And also, I'm very happy to be here and would love to be part of an Asian community, our program, you know, with similar needs, and I think a really strong voice together. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our next panelist, Dr. Spellings.
Yeah, awesome. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today and want to say thank you to the Taiwan Sport Forward Association, American Institute of Taiwan, and the National Taipei University for hosting us here today. And thank you for everyone who has worked so hard to make these 2 days so successful. It is a privilege and an honor for us to be here. I'm Carolyn Spellings. I'm with the University of Tennessee Center for Sport, Peace, and Society. And today I'm going to talk about how we at the center engage and work with university students to teach them about the sports diplomacy field and sport for development field. Okay, as Dr. Sarah, my colleague, said yesterday, we believe that social change is a team sport. And for us, students are part of that team. And so when we think about engaging and working with students, we want to help equip them with the skills, knowledge, and resources so that they can go out and create change through sport. Our purpose is to create a more peaceful, equitable, and inclusive world through sport and education. And so we seek to build a global network of partners who use innovative solutions to solve some of the world's most pressing challenges. So using our people-first approach, which values the dignity of every human being, and this includes the students that we work with, we believe it is our responsibility within the university setting to mentor and empower students to harness their full potential for the greater good. So our goal when we work with university students, we try to work with students across multiple disciplines. We don't want to just work with students from the sports management or sports sociology background. We want to work with students from a variety of academic disciplines. So we want to educate them about the field of sports diplomacy and sport for development. We want to work with them to advance the goals and the mission of the center of our work. So we want to engage them in our work and in projects that move what we do forward. But maybe most importantly, we want to provide opportunities for students for professional growth and development. Really seeing them as unique individuals that can, once they leave our internship program, that they can go out and be ambassadors for gender equity in sport and disability rights within sport. And so the pictures at the bottom are some of the students that we've worked with over the years. And so when we work with students, we talk about their passion, their platform, and their purpose. And these are the 3 Ps that we use often when we work with anybody who in an education setting. And so specifically when we think about our students, we want to help them identify an important social issue that they're passionate about. So many of the students who come to work with us are interested in sports because they played sports when they were growing up. And they think the work that we do is pretty neat. So we work with men and women all over the world who are using sport to make their communities better. And so they say, I want to be a part of what you're doing because I love sports and I love to travel. And we say, okay, great. So now let's help you, let's educate you about gender inequality within sport, and let's educate you about challenges people with disabilities face, particularly within the sports sector. So through that process, we help them identify their passion. So of all the inequalities that exist within sport, what are you most passionate about? And then we work with them to help them understand how their platform or their skills and knowledge that they're learning in their academic units, so again, we work with students across a whole variety of disciplines, how they can use those skills and that knowledge to create their purpose or their plan for change to address the inequality that they're passionate about. So again, it's helping them educate them about what are the issues, the inequalities within sport, particularly as it relates to women and girls and people with disabilities. How can they use what they're learning in the classroom, in their geography classes or their political science classes or their business classes? How can they use that to create change in the world? And so how do we do this? We use our theory of empowerment for social change, and I'm going to spend the rest of our time this morning going through each of the 4 E's in this model. And hopefully you can take some of the knowledge that we've learned over the work that we've done with students and apply it to any students or anybody that you're working with. So first, we expose students to new ideas and resources. We equip students with the necessary skills that they will need. We engage students in different types of learning experiences. And then we expect and trust them to take everything that they've learned and to implement their vision for change. And so it's really entrusting and empowering them to take what they've learned with us and to move forward in the world outside of the scope of their internship experience. So now we'll walk through these 4 E's. So first, we expose students to new ideas, resources, and networks, particularly by taking a multidisciplinary approach. Again, many of the students that come to us don't come from a sport management or sport sociology background. They come from a variety of academic disciplines, and we love that. We love that. And because we want to select students who are motivated and engaged to think creatively, to think about how they can use their knowledge from their particular content area, whether it's journalism or public health or social work or business, and apply that to the sports sector. So each semester, students work in groups on a joint project that's intentionally designed to utilize the skill set of their academic discipline. And so this allows students to learn from one another. So not only are they learning about the field of sport for development and sports diplomacy, they're also learning about other academic fields at the university. So here's just a short list of some of the disciplines that we've worked with. So we've worked with students who've come from political science, kinesiology, hospitality and tourism, geography, public health, sports management, therapeutic recreation, business, communication, and deaf studies. And this is just a short list, but hopefully it shows you the diversity of the types of students whom we're working with. And so that not only are they exposed to issues within sport, but they're exposed to learning about other academic disciplines by working in groups with each other. And so second, we equip students with the skills that they need to become leaders both inside of academia and outside of academia. So we focus on increasing students' communication and team building skills. We're really focused on helping students grow professionally. We want them to increase their levels of self-confidence and self-esteem through their work with us. And so to this end, we provide students opportunities to speak publicly about the work of the center, about the work that they're doing, and how what they are doing with us addresses inequalities that they're passionate about within the sports sector. And so here are just 2 examples of this. So the top picture, the woman in the middle in the brown jacket, her name is Dondi Plowman. She is the chancellor at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and she hosts a monthly breakfast at the university where she has other leaders within the university and leaders within the community. They come to this breakfast once a month, and then she asks other faculty members or other individuals at the university to come and talk about the work that they do. So when she invited us at the center to come and talk about our work, we said, we have to bring students. Students have to be a part of this. So we brought 4 students to this breakfast, and we had them each stand up, introduce themselves, talk about the work that they were doing for us and how their internship with us was helping them grow and helping them reach their professional development goals. So this gave them an opportunity to practice public speaking, to increase their confidence, to share in a room full of people who were much senior to them. These are all undergraduate students who were there about things that they're passionate about and where they want to go in life. And then this bottom picture, one semester we had 5 students from 5 different academic disciplines who were interested in going to graduate school. So we said, okay, we're going to give you an opportunity to work on a research project, and then you're going to present that project at the undergraduate research colloquium at the end of the semester. So these 5 students worked together on a women's empowerment map and a timeline where they did research looking into laws and policies that were helpful for women, particularly in the sports sector in countries around the world and regions around the world, and then compared those laws and policies and opportunities for women to participate in elite sports and in professional sports. Did a comparative contrast research project, and then also created a timeline where they looked at major events for women in sports throughout history and how that worked in relation to other major laws and policies around the world. And so this just gave them an opportunity to learn about research, to present their research, and then to gather feedback. So the judges at this colloquium gave them feedback, and they had to incorporate that feedback for the next round of presentations. Okay, so third, we're really interested in providing opportunities for students to engage in engaged learning, okay, so they can learn about other cultures and contexts. So outside of the work that we do at the university, we work with over 200 men and women all around the world who are using sport to create change in their communities. And so we try to find opportunities for our students to come alongside and work with these international alumni. And so here's an example of this. This is Aline Silva. She's from Brazil. She is an Olympic wrestler. And when she was getting ready to end her professional career in wrestling and to transition out, she started a program working with young girls in underprivileged communities using wrestling and education, particularly English language, to try to provide them more access to opportunities in life. So we partnered with some students at the university who were studying Portuguese, partnered them with Eleni and her girls, and they engaged in regular tutoring sessions, virtual tutoring sessions, okay? So the young girls in Eleni's program got to practice speaking English, and the Portuguese students at the university got to practice speaking Portuguese, and also learning about a different cultural context for our university students. Which was a really great experience for them. And it helped Eleni advance the work that she was doing in the communities in Brazil. And then finally, we entrust students to carry out their vision for change. So we are very intentional at the beginning of the semester when students work with us to help create a project or know, okay, they're gonna work towards this particular project, okay, that is going to address whatever inequalities, whatever their passions are about the inequalities within sport. And here are some examples of this. So we've worked with journalism and electronic media students to help them interview and write articles about our alumni working in countries all around the world to increase the representation of women's sport globally. We've had students from the education, the under curriculum development on the your far left. Students in education and deaf studies helped us work on a online curriculum development project. And they helped us make these projects accessible to those who are visually impaired and those who are deaf. We've had students help create some of our social media assets, so our electronic media graphic design students who we've worked with, we've had them help us create some of our social media assets, but also we had what I think is pretty neat, a student from geography who helped us create an interactive map. So if you click on a country, you would zoom in on that country and a pop-up would come up, and laws and policies that impact people with disabilities in that country would come up. Individuals who are working in the disability sports sector would come up. You could find information about the Paralympics, parasports. And so that was a really neat project that was kind of the foundation for some of our further work that we've done later on. And then we've had students in the business school and other departments help with program logistics. Particularly, we've taken Americans to other countries to partner with our global alumni database. And so they've helped with the planning of that and the training for the Americans, the cultural training for that. So I see that my time is just about up, so I'll stop here. But in conclusion, we really see the theory of empowerment for social change as a useful framework for educating, mentoring, and preparing students to become leaders in the sports diplomacy and sport for development sectors, and really in whatever sector they go into. So through a focus on collaboration, diversity, and engaged learning, students are provided opportunities to take what they are learning in the classroom and apply it to solve some problems, some real-world problems. So thank you for your time today, and of course, high fives.
Thank you very much. Let's welcome our last panelist, Ms. Chen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vera. I'm a social worker and the co-founder of Taiwan Sports Forward Association. When we are talking about sports education, I have a curiosity about what exactly is the meaning of education. First of all, I would like to share two little stories about this. The first story, I have ever been a track and field player in my elementary school. I remember one time when the coach wanted to pick a long jumpers. He asked us, everyone, to take a long jump. Once you have only one chance. And he picked the one who long jumped the farthest. But besides all of us, we even don't have the chance to learn how to make a long jump correctly. So I remember the feel about I was abandoned in the field. I remember it until now. And the second story is about our association. When we began to develop service plans for our young female players, we were very caring about career development. So we want to tell them to visit colleges, universities, to make sure what major they are interested in. So we ask them, which major you want to visit? All of them, 18 players, all of them, no one of them think that they will be a college student. It really surprised us because in Taiwan, to be a college student is not too hard. Through the two stories above, what I want to share and talk about is the issue of the middles only in Taiwan's current sports education system. In our system, the coaches, the players, they only care the middles. But does sports education only revolve around middles and winning? I think the answer is no. So we believe that there is much more we can learn from sports. But unfortunately, in Taiwan's current sports education system, we gather athletes together in sports classes for centralized training. And these classes can offer for the athletes maybe only training. The career development and other needs of the athletes seems to be rarely taken into consideration. why they care about only medals and winners. However, adolescence is an important period for youth to develop their self-concept and self-identity. They need more exploration and experimentation, so they need to know more than training through greater understanding of the world. We can lead them to construct more imagination for their future careers. We think that this is more important things. So we try to do something and make some changes. So I will share what our association has done until now. We have 3 development directions. First, we are devoted to focus on sports diplomacy, like what we do these 2 days. And second, promote gender equality in sports. The third one is what we talk today. Empower and inspire our youth athletes through educational opportunities. Support them can continue to receive education and build up their self-concept and self-identity. That is what we do for these years. We would like to increase the youth athletes' imagination of the world and the interest in language learning. So we plan a series of language courses on life and career to share more life experience and language application to them. And most of this is how do language help them to achieve what they want to do, to show the importance of language. This is not just about language learning, but also about broadening their career perspective and imagination. Our focus is not solely on how many words they learn, but more importantly, we hope that by sharing the life stories of our contributors, they can see that the world is there's more choice can be choose. There's not only the world is not only the things you have ever seen. So choice, yes. Choice, we hope every kid have a right to choose their career and lifestyles. Therefore, we also provide tutoring assistance to help them maintain their academic progress in their training. In order to sustain their interest and confidence in learning, we aim to support stable learning for youth athletes and reduce limitations on their future career development due to poor academic performance. When the chance comes, we hope they have the ability to grab the chance. And last one is about the sport injury prevention and self-protection camp for youth athletes. It focuses on youth athletes and provides instructions on sports protection by athletic trainers. This program will be integrated into the camp with topics and such as self-protection, gender education, and the legal concepts about self-protection, protect themselves. We hope to assist youth athletes in improving their knowledge of sport protection, reducing the occurrence of sport injuries, and increasing their awareness of physical boundaries and self-protection concepts. By doing so, we hope to reduce the chances of sexual harassment and sexual assault. We also do the basketball experience camp for girls in remote town. It is designed exclusively for girls, only for girls. Because in Taiwan, basketball is still relatively gender-specific sport. Through this experience camp, we hope to encourage girls to be bold and adventurous. Let's break through the gender barriers and don't be limited by gender stereotypes. During the camps, we developed another program. It's about gender equality breaking through in basketball. We create some games for kids to play. Through the play with basketball and with sports, we learn what is gender equality and what can protect ourselves. So through the activities, we share the concept of gender equality and interact with kids to discuss what they understand of gender equality and leading them to learn through play and through sports. Besides, in the spirit of sports for all, we also support and co-organize sports-related activities to promote the participation of different groups, including those who are disabled or disadvantaged. The last one, about sports education. As I mentioned before, I have been a track and field player before. But I left the sports field in junior high school. Perhaps some girls like me feel that they are not suited for sports, or that sports fields are not for girls due to breast development. However, there is an equipment called sports bra that can help us exercise comfortably. Maybe all we need is suitable equipment to enjoy sports freely. But we don't know it, or we don't know about it, or we can assess it. Therefore, we hope to promote the concept of sports bra through fundraising activities so that more girls can learn about them and understand that they have the choice to stay in the field. We also donate sports bras to girls who cannot obtain or afford sports bras, supporting more girls to enjoy sports. And we support more than 10 countries' goals to have their life's first sports bra. All of the program is begin in an idea, and we develop it to make it implement. And we create many meaningful programs these 3 years. We hope every kid can be treated well. We cannot do everything, but we try to make everything. We try to make what we do. We try to make the things what we do well. We will keep going to accompany the youth athletes. So invite you to make change with us. Let's take action. When we take action, the change will happen. Like the ceremony yesterday and the seminar list today. If we make actions, everything is possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shall we all get back to the stage? Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations. I think we have learned the power of sport. It can help girls building confidence, and it can connect people, and can even break the Cold War between countries. But I think Vera also addressed the problem of sport education in Taiwan, and I think what Taiwan Sport Forward Associations have done is really remarkable, because I really don't agree the sport, spatial class for sport, because I think it's not fair for young athletes, actually. Anyway, I think we will take questions from our audience first, yeah? Any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Yeah? Okay. we all thought you have got questions, okay? Right. Anyone? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, you have to run.
Hi, it's Anthony Edgar. It's not so much a question, but just a comment. There was one of the comments about, I was looking at each of the programs. In one sense, they're small, limited amount of girls, but then you're talking about expanding to a larger Asia group, which I thought was really good. So sort of all these little microcosms working together, working as one group would obviously give significant impact, and being out and the sharing, and particularly from an academic side, would be fabulous. So
it's not really a question, but I think it would be really good if we can connect and spread worldwide. I don't know whether you.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, obviously, I couldn't agree more, as I mentioned it in one of my slides, but I think, there's so much research out there of girls in, if I could say, the global north, or Western world, however we want to, categorize it, but on why girls play sports, why girls drop out of sports, why they play it, why are they motivated, etc. And what I know our program is desperate for is more information on why the girls from, we're in India, but coming from these underprivileged communities, I think if we ask the question why they play sports, their answer will be quite different. And I think that there's so many communities working in grassroots sports in Asia, similar programs to what we're running. And I think to come together, and really start to give data and research on this population, I think would be fantastic and so important. So this is really what we are looking for in our organization, and no doubt many other organizations are also looking for.
in my other life back in Australia at the moment, I'm working in rugby, schools rugby. And we have, Australia is very famous for having a national boys rugby team, the Australian schoolboys. But just recently we rewrote the charter and made it a schools rugby, not Australian schoolboys rugby. And we've incorporated rugby sevens, but not 15s. But the girl that's in charge of that area, or teacher, I shouldn't say girl, but the teacher who's responsible, that said we needed to do an under 16s and an open competition, which we didn't really understand because it was more the pinnacle of the end of the school year. And so we asked why, and she said that because girls will finish playing sport at 15, because the final 2 years they will focus on their studies. So if we don't get them then, they'll never get the chance, which it's different in every country, but it was I just found it myself a very good understanding of them, why we needed to do something for the 15-year-olds, because it will be their last chance because they'll be doing other things for the next 2 years. I'm not saying we should stop sport, but just it was just an interesting take on it.
Right, okay. Would you like?
Well, I think it's a great commentary on you can't just take what's happening in the boys or the men's sector and apply it to women or to girls, right? You have to look at the unique context of those particular women and girls in that particular cultural context and what works for them. And it speaks to your point of needing to be very aware and informed of each particular context. So it's a great point and things for us to think about as we're all collectively working towards the same goal, but doing it in our own particular ways, in our own particular contexts. And then how can we take what we're learning, share it with each other, because maybe there's something that you're doing that might also work in Bolivia where Pina is, if she just tweaks it just a little bit, right? And so the more that we can have these opportunities to engage in dialogue and to talk about the work that we're all doing in different communities and in different areas, we can maybe take little concepts and say, maybe I can make this work in my community if I tweak it a little bit, or if I do it just in just a little bit of a different way. That might be helpful. So thank you for your comment.
Like to respond?
Yeah, I would love to add to that. And I think, today for my presentation, it was actually the first time that I shared a bit of my story, which I don't normally do. And I think part of the reason is tied to what your comment just now is that so many women at different parts of their life and girls stop playing sports. And this is global. This is not, unique to, Canada or India, but there is points in the life where girls stop playing. And I think that this is very critical for us to look at. And I know people are looking at it in different countries. And just to give an example, taking from what you mentioned about really understanding the culture of where you're working, is that in India, as soon as a girl starts their menstruation, they are kind of removed from the public. So they're no longer encouraged to be outside in public spaces. They go to school and then they come home. And this is very common, to the point where the word teenager doesn't exist really in India. You go from being a young girl to a woman as soon as you complete your menstruation. So it's definitely a challenge in our program to keep the girls involved in sports through that, the start of their menstrual cycle. And again, one of the keys is us working with the women on the ground who talk to families and communities and really try and encourage them to allow their girls to continue playing sports. So that's kind of, with our program, that's a huge challenge we have.
This time I'm serious. For no reason. I'm curious with our with our partnership with the U.S. Department of State and Global Sports Mentoring Program, we're partnering and working with embassies in 90 countries. The investment of embassies varies greatly. So for AIT to continue, when I look at Blue, who came through the program in 2013, and Pochun 2017, and to see the commitment from AIT that it wasn't a factory line of exchange participants and diplomacy efforts that you're just stamping through, sending off and coming home and going on to the next ones. You all have stayed deeply connected and invested. I'm wondering why, and how can you help communicate to other embassies why it is so important to not treat our exchange programs as factory lines, but rather stay invested in the alums to really set them up for success in their local communities, and what is the ROI for you all from your strategy and perspective?
Great question. So thank you for asking. Why we stayed engaged, first of all, is because Blue and Bojun will not leave us alone. They keep bugging us. No, we are so grateful for their commitment and their engagement, and it's what your presentation said, that circle of empowering people to do their own thing, take the knowledge, take the learning, and then come back and do something. And so 50% of the equation is great alumni. So thank you guys for providing GSMP training in Tennessee and giving us great alumni. The other half is the willingness of the individual embassy to get involved. So our global sports diplomacy program has about a $6 million budget worldwide, which is tiny. It's not a huge budget. So I think things like this symposium are great to raise awareness. I think in the US, Congress is kind of the lever. Just like here, the organizers today have leveraged contacts with legislators. We saw the president of Taiwan here. So I think there are a lot of champions for GSMP in the State Department. I think it's just getting the budget up. We have Michelle Kwan, who's a great advocate, who's now ambassador to Belize. We can probably see the sports diplomacy program in Belize going up. But it really is, I think part of it is the resources and the money. And I do think as, in general, women's sports is getting greater recognition in the US, the attention to the payoff, the ROI and investment is going up. But yeah, I wish every place I've ever served in the world, every embassy had as robust an engagement on sports as here. I will say, sorry, not to answer your question, but to add one final pitch here is, I hope all the foreign guests that have come to Taiwan for this symposium will take a piece of Taiwan back in their heart with them. I think everybody will comment on the warm welcome, the friendly people. Taiwan is at a moment where cross-strait relations are very tense. We have a very large neighbor not too far from us. We have the US support, and this kind of thing, of course, the core of this is sports and diplomacy, but the also very critical issue for Taiwan is its role on the international stage. So you have a moment where the PRC is really trying to shut down Taiwan's access to international venues, and in all avenues, you know. And so sports is an avenue where Taiwan competes, where Taiwan shows itself on the international stage. And you know, that the slide that said a force for boob, which is sort of funny. I think people, you know, Taiwan is a force for good. This is kind of a catchphrase of Taiwan. Taiwan is a force for good in the world. So that is a play on that, a force for good in the world. So I hope when you go back to, I mean, here we have Australia, UK, Italy, Bolivia, what other countries? Canada, India, Japan. All of you, when you go back to your home, I hope, in addition to all this great information about sports, you take back something in your heart about Taiwan and Taiwan's role in the world.
For the support of AIT for the last for many years anyway. Yeah, okay. Any more questions? Oh, right. Okay.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all for these insightful presentations. And I just want to follow up on some of the dialogue. When we talk about sports diplomacy and promoting this like a positive social change through sports, surely we need to reach out, right? But when we encounter, when we reach out to some of the communities, group of people, oftentimes there are like they have different cultures and traditions, and maybe some of them are in direct conflict with our values. And although we want to, promote social change, we don't want people to feel like intimidated, right? We don't want confrontation. So what are some of the strategies, you can win them over, to build trust? Would you like to share more of your observations or some of the advice?
Dr. Wei, I don't know who would like to respond first, but I think the cultural issue is very important. Actually, I want to ask as well, because, for example, in India, it's really very different, and I thought probably I don't know whether the girls' parents, family, are they all supporting for the program? Or?
Yes, so I think the key, so first, I guess 2 questions, but one of the keys to our program is so large and so vast and spread throughout the country that we don't even try to manage it from a central place. So what's key, again, is that we, our drivers of our program come from the communities that these girls come from. So they are the neighbors, of these families. They are, were brought up in the exact same community. So all of these challenges, are, we don't even see half of them. They don't even come to us because they're able to manage it right at that level in the community. And we do, parents, again, we've built this trust over many, many years in our program, and it's really important to do so, because initial reaction of many families is no to sports. It's not part of the culture for their daughter to play. And so the way that these women on the ground have built our program slowly. So let me just give a quick example, because I can go on forever. But we have football in this one state. And girls don't play football there. They don't play any sports. It's a very conservative area of India. And so the lady on the ground who helps drive our program, she had this idea to have, rather than just starting the football program or to get a community meeting and talk about a sport and girls playing, she thought of another way to kind of introduce it slowly to the community. So she actually had a movie night. So she invited the community and families to come and watch a movie. And part of the movie had girls playing sports in it. Okay, so then they came away from the movie as a family and they started talking a little bit about it, and so they have all these great soft ways to slowly introduce this idea into their community. So I must really say that they're the ones that are fighting these challenges all the time, and they're the best equipped to really understand, how to get through it.
Actually, thank you. It's a question for Vera. What were the challenges you had, or the problems on running so many programs in the Taiwan Association?
Less many challenges we meet, many. I can take example about the sport injury protection camp. Yes, we want to share the self-protection concept for the athletes, but for coaches, they think it's not necessary. And why you need to teach them these concepts? You think I will hurt them? So they don't like this. They don't like this concept to teach the athletes. So we use the sport injury protection to be to make the coaches think, oh, maybe I can try it because it's benefit to them, to the athletes. So we tell the coaches we teach the sports injury protection. But actually, we want to teach the athletes. The most important is self-protection, self-boundary, the awareness about his body, and how to protect himself. So we use this we use injury protection to knock the door into the team, and to let it implement. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. But we have to stop here. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you. Thank you for the four panelists.
All right, once again, thank you very much to all our panelists and our moderator. We're going to now have a coffee break located on the first floor. Please also enjoy the exhibitions outside the auditorium as well as on the first floor. We're going to reconvene at 11:25. Thank you very much. testing. OK 啊 test OK 啊
test
说6支里面有2支比较建议使用，我猜这2支是应该是比较稳定的。
test。
都不在这里，所以我猜应该是那一个。
好了，我算了，我们就随机一个点吧，反正后面都有社工泡泡。
我猜是。
干嘛？麦克风。
我就是过来要给他麦克风。不好意思，我刚好稍微测试过。
1、2、3，1、2、3。女士们、先生们，尊敬的学者们。北京话讲的话你不知道，连北京人都夸我北京话讲的。不是早上，是早上。和在一起。
test 喂，1、2、3。
2、3 OK 这 OK 啊。
啊，你讲啊。免啊，头顶下我和你讲话，我讲头前的尔。我头前有声就好啊。